Hi, my name is Vanessa Lewis, and I'm with Peaceful Parenting. And this great day today, Brett Darnesh is on the line with me. I'm here to talk to him about his upcoming workshop, Playful Discipline. Brett lives in an amazing, dynamic, blended family with 5 children under 12, so hats off to you. He's been involved in conscious parenting for over 8 years and has qualifications in counselling, relationship coaching, and social ecology. And he's passionate about improving relationships between parents and their children, just as I am. So that's why I'm really excited about this talk today. And Brett's certified as an aware parenting instructor by the Aware Parenting Institute. So welcome, Brett.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thanks for coming to talk to me today because, you know, the whole catchphrase of your workshop really appealed to me. You know, playful discipline is something often, well, the word discipline is something that I kind of steer away from in my courses because it has such connotations around it. And I guess we want to discuss about, you know, what our current belief is around what discipline is. And how your approach to discipline might be different from the general mainstream. So what do you know, can you describe what you think discipline means to us?
Well, as I say, like there's a really broad spectrum of the meanings for the word. The form of discipline that I'm supportive of is usually almost falls outside the traditional definition of it. Conventional views of discipline are really about obedience, I suppose, and used interchangeably with the word punishment to discipline a child. And that's certainly not where I'm coming from. That sort of view is really focused on using external means to ensure compliance, really.
Yeah.
And using external motivators like punishments or logical consequences.
And those rewards and chart stickers and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, they do work in the short term on the surface.
Yeah.
You get compliance and...
but the research is even there, isn't it? The research is showing that long term it just doesn't work. And we know that as adults. We can be offered all the goals in the world and all the rewards at the end, but, you know, it's so hard to stick to a reward system.
Yeah, exactly. They get bigger, and it kind of, the novelty runs out for children as well, doesn't it? And we're really wanting to sort of think about where, you know, the reasons why our children are behaving in a certain way, why they might choose something. Are we wanting them to choose it because they're scared of being punished or losing privileges or, you know, acting out as they're going to do something because we're going to give them an ice cream or something?
Yes.
I mean, that just doesn't feel as good as when a child just comes from their own innate desire to cooperate and
see, most parents don't understand that one particular little point is that most kids do want to cooperate. If you give them, if we can provide the space to allow them to understand what's going on, then they want to cooperate. But setting ourselves up for failure by offering rewards like ice creams and lollies and things like that, and at the end of the day we realise that that's a very big downfall for us. So, you know, how does playful discipline work then? How does it differ from the traditional way of parenting?
It sounds like a bit of a contradiction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really? Like, how can that be? We don't, you know, because we don't usually think about discipline to be something that's fun and enjoyable. And because, you know, play, it's really a universal language of connection. Yeah, and children really respond so well to that. They love play. How many times do we hear this over and over? Daddy, I want to play. I want to play. I want to play. I want to go and play at my friend's place. It's, you know, they really thrive on that. And just like us as adults, children as well are they're just less cooperative and
Yeah.
agreeable when they're not connected.
Yes.
And if so, that's how the playfulness comes in with the discipline. We're able to re-establish this connection, and it nurtures the connection between the parent and child as well.
Okay, so what you're
Um,
saying is that really the key is the connection part. And for most people
yeah,
listening to this, that to me that means like this heart connection where the child feels loved and
mm,
accepted and safe. So we're trying to provide a
yes,
space there in which we have an opportunity to reach out and also teach them in that moment.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
if they're
and that,
disconnected, if they're scared, if they're fearful, if they're afraid, then they're unlikely to hear us.
yeah, which is the very thing that the conventional methods of discipline
Yeah.
actually undermine that, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
safety, and they do feel scared, and it's not coming from the right place. And well, for me, when I was growing up, I actually lost so much connection with my father because he was so authoritarian, and
Mm,
he
mm,
actually didn't know who I was,
yeah.
and that felt really isolating in the family.
Yeah.
Um, growing up like that. And to me, it was just normal. I didn't know any other way. Like, I know things differently now.
You understand the difference now because you give your kids a different
mm,
experience. But yeah, our parents didn't
yes,
understand that. They only
yeah,
knew the traditional model where culturally
mm,
you use your authority and your power over children in order to mold them into what society says is a good thing, or what your community believes is a good thing. But it doesn't really honor the
yeah,
child. You don't really understand what is going on for the child. You don't really, as you said, you don't know your child in the end. You don't know what's pushing them or what's
yeah,
creating that behavior to begin with. Yeah.
yeah. And by the time they're teenagers, if that continues, they really distance themselves from the parents. And these other ways of discipline where it's about connection and nurturing that
Mm.
intrinsic motivations for cooperation and contributing to the family and having more understanding of how their behaviour affects themselves and others, and as well as their environment around them.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
that it builds that connection and a foundation for them.
Yeah.
And beyond that, even into their adult relationships, if they've got a strong foundation of being able to connect with people through conflicts, because this is where the discipline really comes up, isn't it? It's like there's conflicts going on. We want something, they want something else.
Yes. Yes.
And
We have a
that
yeah.
can greatly benefit them through their adult lives. I mean, a lot of this stuff took me into my 30s before I started really learning it for myself. I'm doing everything.
Me too. So you're saying playful discipline really aims towards
Mm.
creating that connection before applying what? So how does the discipline coming in? Because again, that traditional model says I'm going to tell you what to do. So how does
Mm.
that differ? Once they're in that space of connection, you're both really connected to each other. What's the difference there?
What's the difference? Yeah, I suppose well, there's two ways to look at that in a sense of, when a parent wants the child to do something or what they don't want the child to be doing. Um, there's the immediate sort of situation, and then there's a greater picture of what's going on. There might be repetitive patterns
Mm.
and things that you want to change. The same issues keep coming up. I think like there's an example, say in an immediate situation, you might have a younger child, who really doesn't want to brush their teeth,
Mm.
you know,
Common.
and we can get really serious about it and even give them reasons, facts, try to scare them with their teeth falling out
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And that really is not very connecting. So a playful approach might be in that situation be like, hey, let's go and brush our teeth together. I'm going to see if I can brush my teeth with my toes,
Yeah.
get really silly and be, well, I'll try and sing a certain song
Mm.
while brushing the teeth, going, oh, and, and that'll just elicit lots of laughter and there's a lot more desire in the child to come along and join you in that.
Yeah.
And if we step back, there might be in the same sort of situation a child who's really, there's something about brushing your teeth and they really don't want to do it. And it's been a longer term sort of challenge for a
Yes.
parent.
Yep.
Away from the situation, we can use a playful approach, which you wouldn't bring up just before it's time to brush teeth. Maybe in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So with a younger child, you might have like a bigger teddy bear and a smaller teddy bear, and you can introduce the play into it and really say, well, with that situation, the mummy teddy bear wants to brush her teeth, and then you're playing with the little baby teddy bear, and it really doesn't want the mum to brush the teeth. Have it this sort of reversal thing and get a bit silly with it and create laughter around it and give lots of power to the little baby, actually.
Yes.
Because that's a big one in some of the playful discipline approaches is to do this thing called power reversal, because so often children are powerless in some of those situations when they're setting rules and limits on them for their safety. There are good reasons too that they, say some younger children might not be at the developmental stage to understand the full reasons why we're implementing these limits.
Yeah, I think most people would understand, that often those 2-year-olds between those, around that 2-year-old stage where they just go, no, and they're so hard on this is my independence and it's so important to them.
Yeah.
So it's key that at that point they're really trying to work out, who am I, and I need to have a bit of control in my life. So you're saying the power reversal stuff really helps to allow them that space to grow and to also feel like they have some control over their life.
Yeah. Well, as well as laughter is it's an amazing emotional release from the body from stressful situations.
Yep.
And so particularly for 2-year-olds, like they've just spent their whole life like under a lot of control of the parent.
Yeah.
They don't get to say much at all. Suddenly they got verbally can say no.
Yeah.
So we got crying and sort of raging, which is the temper tantrums and things like that in children. We still see that in adults as well. And it's a really natural way for the body to heal itself.
Yeah.
Just as crying do, we know how much we, how peaceful we feel after we've had a cry over something that's devastating. And so laughter is the same thing. A lot of adults recognize when we have that little outburst of inappropriate sort of laughter, particularly when we're scared.
Yes.
It comes up and we just laugh about it and it feels good in a way.
Yeah. So
sometimes with the power reversal things with little children, that allows them to really, express that stress.
Yeah, release
it. Because some of the behaviours, essentially, there's 3 different areas that I see behind children's behaviour that you find challenging, and that's usually some needs going unmet.
Yeah. Yes.
Or lack of information.
Yes.
And the third one is pent-up emotions, and that could be from little stresses built up through the week or the day.
Yeah.
Or that could be one big one.
Yeah.
I don't know. And this enables a way to really release that stress out of their bodies, and then they come into more of a sense of connection with us, and then we find they're more cooperative and things like that.
So
in that example with the toothbrush, the child might be, power reversal games could really work well in that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that way.
Absolutely.
As well. Because they might be just trying to assert to go against what, have some control in their lives.
I guess, one of the key questions I could see coming up about this particular approach is that most parents would go, well, hold on, if I'm playing with my kids all the day and making them laugh and so forth, won't they stop taking me serious? Like,
Mm.
how do I, will they stop being cooperative because they want me to be playful all the time? And I don't know if I can do that, So it's like they can probably see this endless amount of I'm going to have to play with them a lot and so on, and they might not take me seriously. So I'm sure you get asked that question.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two things in there I see. There's the concern that they might not take things seriously. They might even there might be concerns about children playing up just so they get the connection. But that's what they're wanting. They're wanting connection. Yeah. That's how they want to be doing. But there's also, I'm hearing in some of that concern about, maybe I'll need to be playing with them all day. And I really encourage parents to say no when they don't want to be playing, because really the playful discipline approach is all about connection. And if the party is not really in it, they'll know.
Yeah, don't fake it.
Like there's only 5% or something of our communications through verbal words. Yes. The rest is through an energetic sense, or if you go into neuroscience sort of aspects, there's like mirror neurons and
all that sort of stuff.
Sorry?
All of that sort of stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's being authentic.
Yeah, so they know. So you need to be authentic.
Yeah.
Because it is about connection.
Yeah.
And they won't think it's a game because of that underlying sense that it's about connection and understanding and coming together and finding a way together.
Yeah.
It's like a mutual sense of respect rather than respect trying to come from a place of enforcement.
Yeah.
And, they get a deeper understanding because you're starting to address the core, the causes at their core. The child starts to learn from inside, how they affect others in the world. And we get to understand them too. We get to understand their needs. It starts to give us another way of looking at it. Say if we're rushing around and wanting to get out the house and we need to get somewhere and our child's playing with Lego, and in our seriousness, we might just be going, right, we've got to go, and not really hearing what the child's needing at that time. They might only need like 3 or 4 blocks to finish something. They need to complete something, and it would probably not really influence the outcome of the day if we actually saw what was happening or gave reassurance to that child that when we get back, you'll have time to complete this. And I understand, it's understanding.
Yeah, or even that, because often parents, I think, undervalue the, especially if you've got a child that's a little bit sensitive and you're a working parent, you're forced to go off to work, you can't stay at home, but the child drags their feet every single morning when you've got to get them off to daycare or something like that. And so not understanding the stress of that, of course the child doesn't want to go to daycare, even though they might have a good time there. It's the disconnection from you and from home and the safety of that home that we often don't acknowledge and we don't work enough with in order to make the child feel a little bit more, understanding and safe around that separation stuff. Again, that comes down to the powerlessness. They've got no choice. So often kids are quite difficult in the morning because of that fear of separation.
Yeah. And so that just reminds me of all the classic games that parents actually use naturally.
Yeah.
That we're seeing this separation anxiety.
Yeah.
See, with little babies, we start to do things like the peekaboo game.
Yeah.
And elicits lots of laughter. And then as they get a little bit older, it's like games of hide and seek. all these sort of games.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
actually teach the child it's okay that you're not there all the time.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And if you're making it fun and there's lots of laughter, it's like a symbolic
mm,
uh, play
mm,
around that they're able to release, as well as those other things like power reversal games and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah. And that's what I find interesting. A lot of parents are already familiar with a lot of the strategies. It's also becoming mindful of them and how we
yeah,
can
yep,
use them to connect with our
yep,
child.
absolutely,
And,
absolutely. And I think,
and the dragging of the feet thing is like, well, how can we make this fun?
mm, yeah,
Are we going? Are we going to skip or run or
are you
can we
going to
do
chase me
something
down the
different?
driveway to the car?
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Make it as fun
Make
as
it fun.
possible, and before you
Yeah,
know it, the child's in the car and they're laughing and you're laughing, and they might even have an emotional release, and that's okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, and we're both having fun. That's the thing with the conventional ways of discipline. The
mm,
parent and the child, nobody's having fun,
yeah, that's right.
you know.
Yeah, and you
So we
both end
can
up
choose to have,
feeling quite miserable when you've like so many parents say to me, I just want to stop yelling at my kids. I don't like it. It makes me
yes,
feel bad, but they only know the way that they've been brought up, so what they were taught. So
yes,
it's great that we've got people like you, and we've got the programs that I kind of run also encourage people to
mm,
look at those needs, connect with your children, and
yeah,
understand them a bit more, because when we do that, they understand us and we create that incredible connection, and kids naturally start wanting to be more and more cooperative because we're now
yes,
working out of love and not out of fear and all of that sort of thing.
yes, yeah,
So I'm really excited that you're bringing your workshop to Coffs Harbour on Sunday the 20th at 9:30, and it's only 2.5 hours, Brett. So they must get a lot
yeah.
out of that 2.5 hours, which is fantastic. Are you going to be doing it elsewhere in Australia?
Um, yeah, I've been asked to do it down in the Manning Valley and in Newcastle. They're the next two places.
Fantastic.
The last place was in Port Macquarie, which was sold out. That was amazing.
Oh,
So
great.
maybe I need to go back down that area. A few people have missed out.
Well, I'm sure that
Um,
once people really understand this and understand that there is so much, this is such a better way to do discipline, discipline,
mm,
than our traditional
yeah,
methods. And so perhaps, hopefully, you will get more and more requests for you to start travelling a bit more when you can. Um, and
yeah.
so that people can learn this. So thank you so much for today. If people wanted to get in touch with you, if they wanted to book for this workshop or find out if you were available to come and do a workshop somewhere, how would they do that? What's the best way?
The best way is for the booking for the workshop is through the website. There's a page set up there on under events and workshops.
Yep. And your website?
Is
What's
on
your
there.
website?
It's www.lovingfamilies.com.au.
Great.
And my phone number is 0416 298 296. You can call me there.
Fantastic.
And my email address is on the website as well.
Great. Thanks so
Trying to
much for your
reach me.
time today, Brett. It's been really good talking to you. I love
Yeah.
talking to people that are on the same mind legs. It's so
Yes.
refreshing.
Yes, so do I. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.